Okay, thank you everyone for attending. Once again, my name is Seewing Yee from the Yee Real Estate Network, and my co-presenter is no other than Richard Advani from Supreme Lending. He is a nation's leading investment loan consultant for many investors over many years. He have done thousands of loans, so he also have invested multiple properties spread across the U.S. and achieving massive real estate wealth. He's been scaling his portfolio. He's been buying up, down, sideways cycle. He used the new concept of dollar cost averaging, which I love. We'll discuss that some other time. We have produced videos on that already. So today's topic, okay, let's get to the chase. Okay, for you impatient people out there, today's topic, the name, which is very interesting. The name of this video is Date the Interest Rate, but Marry the House. Now, Richard, I know I want to get your own unique perspective because the other people, the way they define this term are a little bit different. That's not what I want to hear. Now, but before you begin, Richard, I want you to spend only our first few minutes to talk about date the interest rate, marry the house from a homeowner's perspective, from an owner-occupied buyer's perspective. Then I'm going to devote the majority of this somewhat short video to talk about date the interest rate and marry the house from a real estate investor's point of view. So with that in mind, gather your thoughts just a little bit and go ahead and share us, the audience, your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a cool headline, right? And I think it puts things in perspective for all of us as homeowners and as investors that, you know, you're buying the home as a long-term investment. And although we're analyzing that investment, obviously based on current rates and current rents and everything in between, we are not married to those interest rates, right? Most of the loans that we're writing for homeowners and investors don't have prepayment penalties. So, you know, look, right now, the Fed is aggressively increasing interest rates to combat inflation. Once they, and it's a very, you know, thin line, obviously, and it's a balancing act to do it right, but they're being very aggressive. Once inflation starts leveling out, interest rates eventually will start moving back down. It's necessary for a healthy economy to have, you know, probably not as aggressive rates as we're heading towards. And when that time does arise, of course, all of us as property owners in general are going to have the opportunity to refinance, to take advantage of the rates when they get there. And, you know, for a lot of people, especially primary homeowners, you know, your home is your biggest and longest term investment and thing you're going to buy. And you're going to be there for 20, 30 plus years, right? And there will be opportunities to, once again, reduce those interest rates, reduce the monthly payment. I think what's important to look at is affordability, right? Can you afford the payment on the home at those rates today as a primary homeowner? And if you can, then you don't want to sit on the sidelines and wait for some crash that, you know, it's not likely to happen based on those economists. I mean, a lot of people thought 2 years ago during COVID, there was going to be this big crash, and instead property values went up 30% everywhere and rents went up, you know, 20 to 30%, if not more, everywhere. You know, so, you know, date the interest rate, marry the house. You're going to be in the house long term. However, that interest rate can change and will change as the market supports.
Agree. So, Richard, before you segue into from a real estate investor's perspective and what does it mean, the title, date the interest rate, marry the house, let me give you my little bit of perspective. So, as a real estate investor, date the interest rate, marry the house. The way I look at it is you have to look at what's available to you as a real estate investor. So real estate investors are paying a higher rate because it's a higher risk. So let's use the threshold, a benchmark of 7%. Today, give and take, real estate investors, if they want to finance a rental property, you know, you're the loan officer, you know, let's use the premise of a 7% interest rate. Now, some investors thinking, oh, the rate is too high. I'm gonna wait to buy a rental property until the rates come down, or I want to wait until the market crash so I can buy rental property for pennies on a dollar. Timing the market, we're not going to talk about that. Timing the market is a fool's gold. So I would say buy the property, do a 25% down payment, 7% interest rate. If you can achieve a break even or slight monthly positive cash flow for $100, that's a win. That's good enough. And then so just like dating, right? When you go out and dating, you date the opposite gender. I mean, dating it's a feel out process. You can always, after one night of dating, you're done. No more dating. You can find another date for AKA another better interest rate. Because it's a temporary, the interest rate dating is temporary until you find a permanent partner. A house is no different. A house, a house is permanent. You buy an investment property. Your goal is to marry the house permanently, because that house, that rental property, at some point in time, over time, long term, will give you the wealth building benefit that you're going to get on a historical basis. So with that in mind, I'm giving you a perspective. Take the interest rate with 7% right now, or give or take, and then marry the house. Then you keep the house. Then we refinance later. Hopefully, we don't know when the rate can decrease to justify investment loan to finance a property to get better cash flow. So again, go ahead and share with us your thoughts about this particular terminology. What I just said.
So as it relates to an investor, I think there's more than just date the interest rate, marry the house, right? It's date the interest rate, date the tenant, and marry the house. And things we need to keep in mind is, yes, we are going to have an opportunity as investors, as homeowners, to refinance the interest rates we take today. As I mentioned, most of them don't have prepayment penalties. But another thing you have to keep in mind is rents are projected to still go up, right? Yeah. House values have still gone up this year. Most leases are written at a year long. So there's going to be a lot of leases coming due that were written prior to the house price rally. And with inflation still rampant, once again, rents are going to, go up, not only in the short term, but in the long term, right? Cost of everything goes up with inflation. We all hear our parents bought homes in the 60s and 50s for 200 grand that are now worth millions. Paid 600 in rent for this home, that today would be 6 grand in rent. So, rents are going to go up inevitably. Let's say in the short term, you aren't able to refinance, even if rates don't go down. Keep in mind your rents are going to go up as well. As I mentioned, you are going to accelerate your return on amortization because you're paying down the balance of the property as well. So it doesn't change the fact that those wealth building aspects of real estate are still there and are still going to be there moving forward. And, if rents go up in a year and a half, you don't need to marry that tenant, right? You date the tenant, either increase rent, get a new one. And same thing with the interest rates. When interest rates move down, you reduce, obviously, your overall overhead on that property and increase your cash flow. So, it's not, there's variables that will continue to adjust after you've made that acquisition. And most of the time, those variables are only going to get better as well. So, although we may be investing for, nominal cash flows today. And I don't even want to say investing for those cash flows, because we're not, right? We're investing for the wealth building aspect of real estate. Those cash flow numbers will continue to get better. I know 2 years ago in some of these popular markets like Austin and stuff, I bought properties and, I bought them for, at the time you can get an 8% cash on cash in a lot of markets. I bought them for a 1% cash on cash. And, there's other properties I bought 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years ago with $200 a month in cash flow, making 4%, 5%. And with these rent increases, now the rents have gone up from $14.95 to $19.95. So guess what? Instead of making 200 in cash flow, I'm making 700 in cash flow, right? So the returns have gone through the roof, 20+% now. Not even talking about the fact that values on those properties have gone up 40%, 50%, even if not more. You know, and to me, that really showed the long-term compounded effect of owning that real estate. And I closed on a property last month, you know, same as all my clients, right? Rates mid-6s, going up close to 7, and little over break-even cash flow. But I know based on my experience too, and what we've discussed in other things, we're not investing for that 6% cash flow, that $200 a month. It's not going to do anything for our bills, for our quality of life. We're investing for the future. And if anything, like the future is what we've all experienced in the past as investors, you know, rents will be higher in the future, 100%, whether it's 1 year, 8 months, or 8 years, it's going to be higher, right? And if you can make an investment now that's not going to lose money, it's still going to be that hedge against inflation, and we're still going to have the opportunity to break up from that interest rate and break up from that tenant, and then get a lower interest rate and, you know, higher rent. So
Yeah, well, Richard, yeah, you covered all. I mean, it makes sense. So, great, another great motivational speech on your part. But things come natural to you because you and I live in this world where we understand. We've been doing it for a long time, and we just try to instill our positive message for those people out there. There are so much doom and gloom out there. There's so much negative headlines. You know, all the YouTube videos, they have these crash videos every single day, and just that can really emotionally distract a lot of inexperienced and unsophisticated and newbie investors out there. But I'll tell you one thing, don't be scared, overcome fear, take action now, and stay the course, and let your great tenant gonna pay off your debt service, invest for the long term, and ride over this minor recession. If it comes, a minor correction is not going to affect the real estate market, because people need a place to live, and there's a shortage of homes to rent, to buy, and what have you. So as a real estate investor, you are the winner in this current market cycle. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much, Richard Advani, for your great wisdom, great motivational message. Thank you so much. My name is Seewing Yee. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. One more. Win good time. Win action time. Wow. Okay. Are you ready for the next one? Go ahead. Get it.
throat's a little choppy, but I'm ready.
I know it's hard to get started early in the morning, I tell you. Yeah, I have my one.
Oh, I just started. It's like 6 every day, but most of the time I'm just like scheduled with all the East Coast calls at the beginning.
You need a vacation. You need another vacation, man. You've been working so hard and making tons of money.
No vacation. I need to make more money.
Yeah. I know. Your racing season is done?
Yeah. Last race was in Utah last week. So.
Right. Any takeaway from the racing season that you have? Any?
I mean, it's wild because, you know, you're driving these 800,000 horsepower cars. You go to a brand new racetrack where you're going 100 miles an hour at initiation, right? You're going 100 miles an hour, you throw your car sideways and start drifting. There's walls everywhere.
Wow.
And you essentially go there, you get about 6 laps of practice on this brand new track. Insane the level that you need to drive to. And then they send you off in a qualifying and battle, you know? So just imagine, you know, in medieval times, they give you a sword and they tell you to watch a 10-minute video. And then they're like, all right, off the battle. So it's nuts. I mean, the level that the team needs to perform at, the car needs to perform at, I need to perform at is wild. Wow. But yeah, I mean, I think I thrive kind of on that pressure and everything else. So yeah, it's an amazing experience, you know, and to be the professional race car drivers, like, you know, it's things you think of when you're a little boy, you know, and being real and coming to fruition now is definitely, it's crazy.
Wow, I know it's a adrenaline flow for you, and so in a good way. So good for you. I mean, that's one of your bucket lists you're able to accomplish and execute. Anyway, life is fun. You know, it's a journey. You have to take risk and enjoy life every single day. So good for you. You wouldn't have any other way.